Welcome back to my tier list series, and today we are on the very final season of classic Doctor Who, which is season 26 from 1989. Now I ain't gonna lie to you, I've got a shit ton of notes for this season, so I will try to stop talking, but I can't make any promises. The first serial of this season is Battlefield. So I gave this one a 4. I do think it was much better this time around. I didn't like it the first time I watched this, I will admit. I didn't like it. On the second watch, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great serial, great moments in it, lovely character beats as well. Yeah, I thought it was a great serial all around. Last week, I discussed that Silver Nemesis used time travel and the Doctor's past in a really interesting way. And this is the other serial that I was referring to when I said that there was a serial in this season that did that. So this uses the Doctor's time-travelling nature in a very interesting way as well, in that the Doctor is Merlin in this, except that he hasn't been Merlin yet. He hasn't met Arthur or Mordred or Morgaine or any of these people before. So he's experiencing this before they've met him. So it is again a nice timey-wimey adventure. I do like how it works. Also, just as an aside, the Doctor being Merlin comes up again in a recent Doctor Who Big Finish box set, the Halloween series, because the 12th Doctor is Merlin in that one. Just saying, I like the continuity. Even though I hate the use of Merlin, these people did not exist. King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, Camelot, Morgaine / Morgana / Morgan Le Fay, Guinevere, Lancelot, none of them existed. It's not real, okay? This was a fictional book written by Geoffrey of Monmouth because he was sick and tired of his colleagues in England treating him differently and treating him badly because he was Welsh. So he created a Welsh hero. That is the legend of King Arthur. It is all about a Welshman saying fuck you to the English. That is it. Also, Guinevere wasn't even the original story, and I hate the fact that as the legend of King Arthur developed and was rewritten however many times, Morgana became this evil witch. Morgan Le Fay was a good person. She was good, she was kind, she literally healed King Arthur. He washed up on her shores and she took care of him and healed him. That was the original story. But the villainisation of women throughout history includes myths and legends. She has been vilified, and unfortunately Battlefield keeps that villainous version of her, and I don't like it. So that's already an issue for Battlefield, is that they've got the villainisation of Morgana in there rather than the nice version. Granted, you couldn't really have this story with the nice version of Morgan Le Fay, but you could have just used someone else. Make up your own character. Moving on from that, the Brigadier is back, and I love the Brigadier's inclusion. He's great, and he has a really lovely moment at the end. The scene he has at the end was a potential for quote of the season. I was this close to putting it as quote of the season. As it stands, I've already got 2 quotes for this season, so it was already pretty darn hard to choose the best quote anyway. Ace makes a friend in this story as well, and I like that. The fact that the 2 girls got on really quickly together and really well, I liked. Again, it humanises characters. It shows Ace having an actual character outside of being the Doctor's assistant. I really like that. Circling back to the Brigadier, I'm really glad they didn't kill him off in this one. That was the original plan, was to kill the Brigadier off at the end of this one. And considering how this episode started with him telling his wife Doris that he would come home and all of this, and then he'd retire again, just this one last thing, I think it would have hit really hard had he have died in this one, because it was all set up ready for him to die. But I'm really glad he didn't. Okay, really glad he didn't. All the character stuff, actually, with the Brigadier and Doris, and Ace with Lee Shi-young, absolutely love it. Brilliant character moments in this serial. The actor for Mordred absolutely threw himself into the crazy villain role, and we love it. Love to see it. He's delightfully insane and brilliantly camp. Perfect for Doctor Who. I've already mentioned about how the serial uses the vilified version of Morgan Le Fay for this story, but I do want to say that, having said all that earlier, I do appreciate the fact that when Morgaine appears in the story in the Doctor's world, she does have a go at Mordred for basically desecrating soldiers' graves, and then she holds a memorial for the fallen soldiers that she's never met. They're not her soldiers, but she and her soldiers hold this memorial for those soldiers out of respect and honour for the dead, and I do appreciate that, because that shows that she's not just like a one-note villainous witch person. She's actually a character with depth and feelings. Brum comes back in this one, and I love it. I really feel like, even though they didn't know this was going to be their final season, they did really well. Because they've got, in the last season, they had the Cybermen and the Daleks. In this season, they have the Master later on, the Brigadier in this one, Brum's in it. Sorry, Bessie. It's just a really good, well-made season, I'm going to be honest. One moment did have me pausing, because the Doctor, I'm pretty sure, did the Master's hypnosis mind trick on someone. I've never seen him do that before, and it freaked me out, because only the Master has done that, and the Doctor did it in this serial. It was for the person's own safety, but it was just weird seeing the Doctor being the one to do it for once rather than the Master. Ace and Lee, as I've said, had some really good character moments, one of which is when they're in the chalk circle and Morgaine is messing with their minds and they start yelling at each other, thinking that the other person said something horrible when they didn't. I love the fact that Ace does have this massive chip on her shoulder, and this delves more into that, into her character and who she is and her past. And when her parents are mentioned, it really just drums back into what was in her very first episode in Dragonfire and what she said to Mel about her parents there. Ace is such a well-written character that she has a life. She feels alive. Also, I love how she calls Excalibur a paper knife. The Destroyer, the big demony villain thing, is interesting. Later on, Ace jumps through a portal and screams Geronimo before she does. And now I am 99% certain that the 11th Doctor chose the catchphrase Geronimo because of Ace. He wasn't there in the scene, but I am positive that somehow he knew and he chose it because of Ace. Later on, the Brigadier finds out from the Doctor what needs to happen to stop this disaster, and he knows that someone's going to have to make a sacrifice, potentially. And he's like, right, okay, got all the information I need, let's knock the Doctor out and go and do the job. And I really love that, because the Brigadier is very, very brave in that moment. Like, he knows the Doctor's needed, and he's not. He's an older man now, he's not needed, he's retired. The Doctor is still needed in the universe, and he doesn't feel like he is. And I just love that scene where he got the information he needed, knocks the Doctor out and goes and does the job. And when the Destroyer says about this is the Earth's champion, and the Brigadier's like, well, it's the best I can do, it just hits home how brilliant the Brigadier is as a character. There are so many brilliant quotes from this serial alone, and yes, one of the quotes of the season is from this serial. There's a beautiful moment between the Doctor and Morgaine talking about war and honour. It's wonderful, and it feels hugely like a precursor to the 12th Doctor's war speech in the Zygon two-parter of Series 9. It's fantastic. And Morgaine also has a little speech about Arthur when she finds out he's dead, because she doesn't believe it, and she has this little speech when she kind of has to accept the fact that he is dead, and it's a really sweet moment. It's a surprisingly sweet moment from the villain of the episode, and also it's acted very well. Last thing to say on this one, because I have been talking about Battlefield for a while now, Doris going out with the girls at the end, love it. Love it. Okay, so tier listing Battlefield. I think part of me wants to put it in Uyu, but I do have a couple of small issues with it that I can't overlook. It's a great serial, it is, and there are some wonderful quotes in it, wonderful scenes, great character work, but I can't put it in Uyu. So it's going to go into Fantastic, but just know it's a high Fantastic. There are 2 MVPs for the serial. The first is the Brigadier, and the second is Lee Shu-yung. Next up is Ghostlight. So this serial got a 5 and I absolutely love it. I adore this serial. It gets weirder towards the end, but I just love it, okay? It's a great gothic horror mystery and it's fabulous. And Ace's connection to the manor just adds to the whole thing as well. Originally, this was supposed to be the 3rd serial in the season, with the Curse of Fenric coming beforehand. They moved it because one of them was airing on or around Halloween and they wanted a more spooky story for that. Fair enough. However, I think this does actually work better if you watch it after the Curse of Fenric. I forgot about that on my rewatch, so both times I've watched this, it's been before the Curse of Fenric, but I think it would actually work better after the Curse of Fenric, just because Ace's past is delved into there as well, and it works better after. Although it wouldn't explain why the Doctor did this to Ace in the first place. Ace says that this house gives her the creeps when they're there, and the Doctor says, I thought it might, which shows that he knows exactly what's happening and what he's doing to her, but I don't know why. There was no reason given as to why he was doing this to her. In the Curse of Fenric, it makes sense. I get it, there's a reason for it. In this one, not so much. It's weird to me. But it gave us a cool story, so. The guy who was devolved into an ape was quite fun. That was a really nicely done scene. Just saying. This may potentially be my last chance to say it, for Classic Who at least. All praise to the BBC Historical Costume Department. Once again, out in full force with the beautiful costume designs. I love it. I know there's a big BBC history wardrobe somewhere with all the period drama outfits, and whoever made all those costumes and designed them in the first instance, wonderful, gorgeous, love it. Ace's creamy dress especially, gorgeous. I said this serial gets a bit confusing later on. The whole light aspect of it is weird. I didn't understand it the first time or the second time. I mean, I get what light is and doing, but I don't understand the point. I mean, his plan to destroy all organic life so that his catalogue can be complete is bizarre. He could just not do a catalogue. Who's making him do a catalogue? Him. He is. Okay, he doesn't need to do it. He can stop it any time. Last thing to say on this one is that the Doctor treats Ace like Eliza Doolittle in this one at first. Eliza Doolittle from My Fair Lady. And then what's interesting is that later on, Ace has that full control, being the dude whose name I can't be bothered to remember, to her Eliza Doolittle and helping her to be a real woman or something. It's weird. Control is like Pinocchio. She just wants to be a real girl. But anyway, as weird as this story is, I absolutely love it and I'm here for the eerie gothic vibes. So I'm going to put this one again into Fantastic. It was great. And the MVP for the serial is Control. Next up is The Curse of Fenric. So this serial got a 4 overall and I do think it was good. I don't rate it as highly as I've seen other people rating it. I do think it's a good, enjoyable time, but I just don't really like the whole Haemovore curse thing. I don't know why, I just didn't vibe with it the first time round. Considering my opinion changed on other serials before this, I thought maybe on the second watch I'd like it more. I didn't. So it's a 4, but a low 4 for me. Again, we delve into Ace's past and I love that. And again, I wish this came before Ghostlight. It just would work so much better for Ace's storyline in this season. The 2 girls who get taken by this curse first, for one thing, they are drawing lines down their legs and I really appreciate that because that is something that women did do during the war. Because of clothes rationing and all that, you didn't buy new clothes, you make do amend. So because they couldn't buy new tights, they would draw lines down the backs of their legs to pretend that they were wearing nice new tights, and the girls are doing that in this serial and I just think it's such a great nod to real history. It's great. It's such a small thing and I love it. Also with these girls, I did not expect a sex joke in classic Doctor Who. The girls are going to go meet Ace at Maiden's Point and one of the girls says, well, that rules me out. It's like clutching their pearls. But yeah, I didn't expect a sex joke in classic Doctor Who. That's 1989 for you, I guess. Later on, we have Ace holding her own baby mother, baby Audrey, and it just reminded me of Rose holding her own baby self in Father's Day. Obviously without the massive repercussions that Rose caused in that episode, but it just reminded me of that moment, except it was much sweeter and more impactful because it was Ace's mum and she hates her mum. But she doesn't find that out until the end of the serial. I'd love that scene when she's talking to the Doctor right at the end of the serial about how that was her mum all along. I just love going into Ace's backstory. I love it. The vampiric zombie creatures, also known as Haemovores, very creepy. That's all I can say. At one point in the serial, Ace blows up a wall and says wicked. And at the end of Ghostlight, Ace says to the Doctor that she wished she had blown the whole house up. And the Doctor says wicked. Again, that would have hit so much better if Curse of Fenric came before Ghostlight. There's so much between these 2 serials that swapping them around just lessened the impact of both stories. I think it would just work so much better if they were the right way around from the off. I was very confused by the romance type thing between the very 16-year-old Ace and the very adult Russian army man. She is 16! He is a grown-ass man and she is 16 years old. 16. What is this? This is 1989. We're not in the 60s anymore. You can't pretend that it's normal anymore. It's not. A character named Judson gives the sickest burn in all of Doctor Who. He says, I can see you've never been handicapped by a great intelligence. Sick burn. So let's talk about the Doctor's actions in this one with regards to manipulating Ace into losing her faith in him. People say that this is really bad, it's manipulative, it's horrible, but it was completely 100% necessary. It was the only way to save Ace's life and the world in general. I don't understand why people hate on the Doctor for doing this or say that the Doctor's bad for this. In the God Complex, in series 6, I think it is, the 11th Doctor does this exact same thing to Amy. He makes her lose all faith in him because he has to in order to save her. This is what happens with Ace in the 7th Doctor in this serial. I don't understand why people say that one's okay but this one's not. Although that does make me wonder, who has more faith in the Doctor? Ace, Amy, or Leela? Because Leela said a lot of things about having faith in the Doctor and believing in the Doctor and stuff in her time. Amy obviously had the God Complex, where we know she has such faith in the Doctor that they were taken to that prison ship. And Ace in this one had to lose her faith in the Doctor because that was the only thing that would save her. So does make me question who has more faith in the Doctor. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Last thing I'll say about this one is that as much as it really confuses me, I do love the fact that it gives a proper through line for Ace and the Doctor's story, all the way from Dragonfire through to this one. It really does make it all connect really well, and that's what I mean when I say that it feels like a New Who series. It feels like that's where Doctor Who was always headed regardless, because this feels like a New Who series. It's written almost like a New Who series with the overarching story of those two characters. It's just great. Anyway, for tiering though, I think I'm going to put this in upgrade in progress. It was a good story, but it wasn't my favourite. Outside of the character moments and the Ace moments especially, I didn't really care as much about the rest of it. It was a solid episode of Doctor Who, but that's all I can say. And the MVP for this serial is the least problematic character, and that of course is baby Audrey Dudman. And now we come to the very final serial of classic Doctor Who, which is Survival. This one also got a 4 overall, and I did enjoy it. I personally would have made this serial the one used for the Tales of the TARDIS. I think they used the Curse of Fenric for the Tales of the TARDIS episode on BBC iPlayer. I would have used this one personally. I would use this one because it is the final serial of Doctor Who in the classic era. I also would have made a Tales of the TARDIS for the 8th Doctor. Obviously it would have had to be in the movie, but I would have done it. So, just saying. On to the story of this episode though. Let's start with the kitty cat, the adorable little kitty cat. Here's me paying the kitty cat tax. I can't deny this cat reminded me of Salem from Sabrina, but without all the sass. It's just Salem from Sabrina without the sass. That's what this cat is. The cat met the master and went, I can't possibly top this sass. I'm just going to keep silent from now on. Adorable cat though, adorable cat. I'm very, very, very confused by the cheetah people and their use of horses. Cheetahs are one of the fastest land mammals in the world, if not the fastest. I don't know. I just know they're one of, at least. Why do they need horses to hunt? That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense at all to me that they would use horses to hunt when they're already the fastest. The horse is only slowing them down. And also, are the horses from their planet or are they from Earth? Did they go to Earth and steal the horses? And if so, why haven't they eaten the horses? They are cheetahs after all, and they are hungry. They hunt for food. They don't hunt for transport, they hunt for food. So are the horses from Earth or are they from their planet? And if they're from their planet, why didn't the horses turn into cheetah people? I don't understand. I have questions. There's a little moment when Ace catches the Doctor in her trap. Ace is brilliant in this serial, let's be honest. She's just fantastic, as always. She immediately sets about trying to defeat these cheetah people and sets a trap for them, and the Doctor falls straight into the trap, and I loved it. It was really funny seeing the Doctor hanging upside down in Ace's trap. Also, Ace being the next one to turn into a cheetah girl, it was well set up, and I liked how that happened. Overall, this was a good story, a really nice way of ending the season and the whole of Doctor Who as a series in general. Obviously the Master was there, so like I've said, you had the Daleks and Cybermen in the last series, the Master in this one, so you've got the big three in the final 2 seasons. Ace and the 7th Doctor are a fantastic duo, and the general story itself was fairly decent as well, so all in all it's a good serial. And the final little monologue that the Doctor says was another one I was considering for the quote of the season as well actually, but that one was recorded on the anniversary of Doctor Who for that year. So it was recorded on the 23rd of November 1989, so that's when they knew they had been cancelled, and they wrote that for Sylvester McCoy to dub over the top of the end of this serial, which I think was a good idea. It gives the serial and the season and the series a nice close, which I think was very good of them to do. So all in all, I think I'm going to put this into fantastic because I'm being slightly generous. It wasn't the best story, but it was a great way to end the season and the series. And the final MVP for classic Doctor Who is Srila Govindia. And that is the final season of classic Doctor Who, tier listed. I'm sorry I spent so long talking about just 4 serials, but if you've been keeping up with this series, you know by now I talk a lot, so this is on you. All in all, I think it's a really good season, a nice end season as well. It almost feels like it was planned to be the final season, even though we know it wasn't. And I just enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was a good season. The 7th Doctor seasons are some of my favourites, so I do like these. Season stats. The most common score for any serial was a 4, and the season average was a 4.14. So as I mentioned, I've got 2 quotes of the season. I'm going to start with the shorter one, which comes from the Curse of Fenric. This is when Ace is trying to convince 2 soldiers on opposing sides to stop fighting between them. And then she finds out actually they've already stopped fighting between them and have decided to work together. So the character Vashinin says, "War, a game played by politicians. We were just pawns in the game, but the pawns are fighting together now." I like that. To be fair, it's a bit of a self-explanatory quote. You can see where I'm going with that one. Even as a child, I never understood why rich, powerful men would decide to go to war with each other and all the regular people would have to do the fighting. I've never understood that, ever. So I like the fact that the characters in this serial also say, why are we doing this? Let's stop. So that's the first quote. The second quote of the season comes from Battlefield, and it's one that I mentioned earlier. It's a really poignant conversation about the ridiculousness of war, more specifically modern warfare. So it's a conversation between the Doctor and Morgaine after she's set a missile to explode on the Earth. And the Doctor says, if this missile explodes, millions will die. You will die. And Morgaine says, I shall die with honour. And the Doctor says, all over the world, fools are poised ready to let death fly. A spark could turn into an inferno. Morgaine says, what do I care? This is war. The Doctor replies, is it? Death falling from the sky, blind, random, anywhere, anytime. No one is safe, no one is innocent. Machines of death, Morgaine, are screaming from above, of light brighter than the sun. Not a war between armies, nor a war between nations, but just death, death gone mad. The child looks up in the sky, his eyes turn to cinders. No more tears, only ashes. Is this honour? Is this war? Are these the weapons you would use? Tell me! And Morgaine says, no. And the Doctor says, then put a stop to it, Morgaine. End the madness. So that's the quote that I said made me think very much of the 12th Doctor's speech in the Zygon two-parter of Series 9. Obviously, that one goes more in-depth into the Doctor's own personal history with war, which the 7th Doctor hasn't gone through yet. I just think this is a really good quote for the Doctor. And it even shows him changing Morgaine's mind as well, because she does eventually stop the missile launch when she realises it's not an honourable way to win a war. So on that rather sorrowful note, that is the season 26 tier list complete. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as to whether you would have put anything in any other category or whether you think this tier list kind of speaks for itself. Next week I'll be doing the wilderness years of Doctor Who, which is what I like to call the bridge era, and that will be the TV movie plus one other serial, so it'll be a very short one next week, but I wanted to make sure they're included. So join me next week where we will discuss the first story for the 8th Doctor. Until then,